supports banned here, and Lyra picked up. Catherine's going to be the GankStars support, something that we know all too well is a Mac Daddy favorite as he locks that in. Now, GankStars is going to be rounding out their jungle, I think. We'll see if it's Lulu on the Black Feather or if it's Xeno. That's something we've seen denominate is the Black Feather, when it comes to GankStars, is a very high flex pick because both Lulu and Xeno love playing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And sorry about being muted there for a second. I was in the wrong draft login, so had to get that switched over. I definitely think that Rona ban was so that they could get the Black Feather. You just mentioned it, that Black Feather is such a strong flex pick for the side of GankStars. And when we look at what's on the table, once that Rhyme and Rona are gone, there's not a whole lot that really does exceedingly well into Black Feather. So now they have the Black Feather, they have the Catherine. They're probably going to look for something like a Samuel at this point, to deny it away from Tempo Storm, as well as they would get that strong late game Crystal jungler on Xenotech that he's also very skilled with as well. Black Feather is one of the big picks we see come out, but instead it's the Reza, and it's kind of a similar playstyle with less of the AoE damage. It's more focused onto a single target. It's realistically capable of the same damage, but again, it's a single target build.
Yeah, but it's a burst attack, and it's one that we see it does a lot of damage, especially in the mid game. When we talk about the 5 to 6 minute, that's a really critical part of the game. A lot of games are won and lost, regardless of how strong your late game comp is, based on those plays. So it'd be really important to keep an eye, to keep watching how GankStars will play this. I really like the Reza pick. I think this is a pick that Xenotech, he's been very proficient on.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a difficult position now for Tempo Storm to be in. They could go with something like the Scarf, but the Reza is actually pretty decent into Scarf. Or they could go with like a Kashka, who's decent into the Reza, but you have the Black Feather and the Catherine as well. So there's not really a whole lot that's, widely good here. The Ozo does work. The other one I was going to say is the Krull. But they do go with the Ozo, and this does pair up well with the Lyra because of Ozo's natural ability to gain increased healing through his Carny luck.
Yeah, but I will say, whenever we see the Ozo come out, there's a few things that I like and don't like. One, I think both Reza and Black Feather are going to be able to do a pretty good job dodging out those bangerangs, and that's a really strong crowd control. The other thing, too, is if you use the bangerang to engage and you don't get the stun, you're basically a sitting duck there. It's really hard to get out unless you can jump to one of your friends very quickly. This is where the Catherine's kind of a good Ozo counter. We usually see Catherine play well as far as using her Merciless Pursuit, getting the stun, keeping Ozo from bouncing around. He's not immune when he's bouncing around to dominate. So, is this a problem for Ozo? Because even with Black Feather, a Rose offensive in the right direction or an ultimate from Reza, and then really Ozo can't do much.
Yeah, it's definitely an opportunity, but it is triple melee, so they will be susceptible to the multi-target acro bounce that can ramp up damage so quickly. That's something we saw I believe last week in the Hammers versus Team Solo mid game where Status was able to pull off that 1v3. It was because all three members of TSM were clustered up trying to get onto him. In those acro bounces, he gains fortified health. If he goes with an Eve of Harvest, he'll gain healing back off of it as well. And it also splashes increasing amounts of damage onto all three targets, just naturally through the ability. That third bounce obviously does more, as well as the Dragon's Eye allows his crystal power to scale up as the fight continues.
No, absolutely. It does a lot of damage. We'll have to see how well Hive can play this Ozo pick into this composition specifically. A lot of pressure, I really think, on Mac Daddy to he has to keep his team at the front of the fight, and he also has to prevent Ozo from getting to that back line, which is really Ozo's strength. So right now, Temple doing a good job to nominate. It looks like being able to clear out that Elder Treant and picking up some farm here. Early on, you don't see that difference in the numbers too much, but it is a huge difference when your rotation includes a little bit more CS.
Yeah, definitely a good start here for Tempo. They are a couple hundred gold ahead. It's going to change relatively quickly here as obviously Lulu gets back into the lane. There's quite a few minions sitting here waiting for him as he's splitting ambient gold with Xenotech in the jungle right now. Noticing that the waves push, he does miss out on 1 CS, but he is going to come up and catch this whole wave. So that's really the key thing here. Again,
catch that wave in
600-700 gold.
Yeah, catch that wave in a few glimmer shots, so he already has to play underneath his turret here. This is a big wave. We'll see if he can clear it out effectively. as Gatsby's done a good job with this Kestrel, keeping the lane pushed, which is what we've really seen Kestrel become really proficient at in update 2.9.
Absolutely. Her amount of lane pressure can be pretty massive. The ability to clear out minions fairly quickly when you're uncontested, as well as then if your opposing laner steps a little too far out, you're able to come through and obviously get that big damage spike onto them as well. It's not as potent when you only have 1 point, so the level 1, it's actually more efficient for you to just use your basic attacks. But once you hit level 2, it does bonus weapon power on those glimmer shots, so that's huge for a Kestrel.
It is Mac Daddy and Lulu. They pushed up here, now trying to put lane pressure on the side of Tempo. First time actually for a while, helping with the minion candy to get the job done. And now it's Gatsby that has to play under turret. Should be able to do a good job quickly clearing out this lane, as Kestrel's just so good at doing. Xenotech, on the other hand, down the jungle, he's been able to complete his rotations uncontested. And this is something that, you know, granted the Ozo pick does have some damage early, it typically doesn't really scale until we get after the 5 and 6 minute mark to nominate. And that's where, yeah, if Tempo is going to start surprising GankStars, I expect it to be around that time.
Yeah, definitely going to be a large mid-game spike for Reza, but also for Ozo. Once Ozo starts getting into that second item, he does start to get a massive amount of burst damage, mostly through his acro bounce, but also a little bit through his 3-ring circus, where he's also going to be able to heal up a bit of damage as well. So we'll have to look out for that. And then we'll have to see, obviously, if Lulu is able to get onto Gatsby effectively and Xenotech get onto Gatsby effectively, where they can get in, get that burst, and allow Lulu to get that Faint of Heart execute damage.
We see a nice acro bounce from high, trying to get in. Mac Daddy's actually very low. They may have found Reza out here. They do have the team split. Mac Daddy looking to try to rotate down to see if they can find damage on the Reza. Xenotech actually able to stay a pretty full health, and it's actually high who has dropped down considerably low. So this is going to allow Xenotech to continue farming freely. He doesn't have to port or back. Is going to finally make his way to the shop. Meanwhile, Temple Storm has rotated up to the lane with Hyde rotate to his back. So both teams, to nominate, they're doing a good job trying to clean up their rotations. Like, you've seen GankStars, they've been 2-man carrying the rotations for the back jungle multiple times, just trying to keep that gold as close as possible to Tempo. So only a 7 or so 100 gold lead going over the Tempo Storm here early, which really is fairly negligible when it comes to both how these teams are going to be playing and scaling.
Well, that's kind of what you'd expect with an Ozo in the jungle versus a Reza in the jungle. The Ozo grouping up his backs can do just a little bit of additional damage and clean out the jungle faster, which, you know, in turn makes them respawn sooner because you've killed them sooner, and then you can get back to your rotation a little bit quicker. And although it might only seem like a couple seconds, after 4, 5, 6 rotations, those couple seconds start to add up pretty quickly, as well as Playboy Afro and Gatsby have spent a lot of time grouped together in the lane, and there's more gold in the lane, so splitting that ambient, as far as visual net gain, is more drastic than Xenotech and Lulu splitting the backs. So that is important to make note that, yes, the gold is higher for Tempo Storm right now, but that's because Playboy Afro is a little bit ahead in gold, not because the carries are ahead in gold.
We just see a bangarang onto Mac Daddy. It's actually Mac Daddy that Tide and Afro have been focusing. Not sure that's the target they really need. They have been able to push the lane up far enough, though, and now that they can focus on the turret. Instead, they rotate down to go find Xenotech. Reza, the jungle, takes a little bit of shots from the Ozo, as now Ozo is just dodging out some of that fire. Mac Daddy's going to rotate down to try to help out. It's honestly coming down to contesting this tree end here, as the contest in the lane hasn't been much. Hyde does pick up that tree end, so the heal on Ozo is substantial, which means Hyde's going to heal up really fast. And now there's an exposed turret here still. Wouldn't be surprised at all if Temple continues putting pressure onto it.
Yeah, Xenotech popping his flask down here in the jungle. He wants to get topped off to come up here into the lane. Mac Daddy does have his fountain, and Playboy Afro has gone the Crucible first. Here's the acro bounce.
It's going in deep. Turret dive, but the turret's also really low. Nice job by Hyde to get away from the Reza as the Reza ults. And now there's a turret going on. This is where Gatsby, uncontested, yeah, he's allowing Afro and Hyde to just get all of the distraction, absorb all the damage, and then he can just blow up objectives. And this is where Kestrel's going to be absolutely phenomenal in this game. Blackfeather is going to get really strong as we get into late game once he's got 2 or 3 more items. But until then, right now, it looks like Kestrel's been able to do a good job shoring up the lane, putting the pressure, and now they've got that first objective.
Yeah, they're looking good right now. Again, both of these teams have been on the bottom for quite some time this season. GankStars sitting with 1 point, Tempo with 0. So it's going to be a pretty close matchup. Reza is starting to get to that point where he is going to start to spike his damage. He's just got to be able to get it down onto the right target, and that's the difficult thing to make out of all this. Yes, they got the first turret down, but Kestrel is significantly better at pushing wave than Blackfeather, whereas Blackfeather is going to be looking for those heavy damage executions in the team fights, where then as a team they can push down the turret after.
Absolutely. GS starting to lose a little bit of that gold edge. And this is a good look for Ozo. Ozo actually loves taking the lead and blows up Xenotech. There's a banger. It comes in and fights Blackfeather. Slate stud. Lulu is bursting around. And this is where Lulu shines. Gets the kill onto Afro. And now it's actually Hyde. He's dropping pretty low. Lulu's all full health. And this is where we've seen Lulu shine here. Is he is just unbelievable with the sustain on this Blackfeather. It's so hard to take him down, Denabade. And even with a 3v2, Lulu just really impressing here. Picks up that nice ace.
Yeah, the amount of damage that Lulu's able to ramp up very quickly, even before the breaking point comes out, is just because he actually does damage of a percentage of missing health with 15% weapon power on top of that execution as well. So when we see targets get low, Gatsby was down to a little under half, maybe a third health, and one Feint of Heart coming through chunked him down almost dead. Obviously, there's not a lot of weapon power built up on Lulu yet, but the on point coming out after was able to secure the kill, and GankStars is now up 3-1 despite being down gold and despite being down that first objective. They even up the turrets, though, off the back of those kills.
Yeah, and honestly, they shored that gold up to just over 1,000 gold lead going over to Tempo Storm. So, although I agree Tempo's had the early tempo of this match, they really are not looking like they're going to be able to snowball this whatsoever. GankStars is here to play, and I'm kind of worried if Lulu keeps playing Blackfeather this way throughout the rest of the game, I don't see Tempo taking him out very easily. You see a nice bulwark here to kind of slow Lulu down. Xenotech coming on from the jungle on the bottom of this fight. And Hyde, he's got to be careful going into a fight when all 3 members are up. It does mean he's going to be the focus of attention from the damage coming out from GankStars. A lot of pressure still being applied. This is where the poke, Denabade, as Lulu hits level 10, as well as Xenotech is starting to get that soon. They're going to have so much poke damage here. It's going to be very bursty. And Kestrel, with no defense at this point, seems a little exposed.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you have to run a Kestrel, though. If you commit too early to defense, you don't have the damage to blow through that front line. And Playboy Afro's taking a bit as well here. But important purchase to make note of, Lulu has picked up the metal jacket now, so he's going to be able to tank up some of those glimmer shots. We see Gatsby recalling right now to get that second monocle. He's going to have to get Pure Sunline if he wants to actually do reasonable amount of damage to Lulu. I mean, it's going to take a whole clip of glimmer shots onto Lulu to put him down at a dangerous health bar at this point. And with Mac Daddy and Xenotech also being the ones that are going to dive onto that Kestrel, you can't guarantee that every single one of those glimmer shots is going to land onto Lulu. So it is an unfortunate situation for Gatsby to be in, but if they can hold their ground long enough, they definitely can come out on top. You know, right here, 11 minutes, Xenotech has completed the metal jacket as well.
And they're looking to engage on this fight. It's still 2,000 lead for Tempo, but you wouldn't know that from GankStars. They're being aggressive, looking to come in there. Lulu does have to back out of the fight, but goes in nicely as he's got vision on that tree end. So he's able to get in there, get that heal, so he'll be right back up in the fighting shape in a few seconds. Tempo Storm, they got to be careful. This is something that we see all too often when going up against GankStars, and this actually has been really one of the things that Lulu's done so well, is when he is on this Blackfeather, he is just so much harder to handle and so hard to take down.
Yeah, absolutely. As GankStars now starting up this gold mine, looking for more. It's a bait, though. They're on Playboy Afro.
They might have found him. He's dropping very low. He goes down. There's a Crucible. Has to use the foul end. And lol, nice silence. as he finds the kill. Gatsby's trying to do damage, but it's not enough, and Hyde, he's got to run out of there as fast as he can, but all of GankStars is on his tail. Oh no, Hyde, why did you go back in? He gets deleted. That's another ace for GankStars, and this time around, they're going to get this gold mine, and it looks like they're going to get another turret, and GankStars have just opened up this game.
Yeah, and shy of a miracle, I'm thinking this is going to be GankStars' game, unless if Gatsby and Hyde are able to find damage onto the same target. And like we talked about earlier, the acro bounce has to hit all 3 targets if they want it to be effective. It hasn't really happened that way until that, you know, the trail end of that very last fight. The acro bounce did come out, but it was a little too late. He was the only one alive, and with all 3 of GankStars focusing on him, it was only a matter of time before that monkey met his maker. And now GankStars, with a level advantage here on Lulu, as well as having a level 10 infusion that's ticking out, if they look for a fight here soon, they should be able to clean it out pretty easily.
Yeah, absolutely. They definitely need to. They need this, absolutely, you know, to make it all the way. GankStars looking for their first series victory of the season, with just a week, 2 weeks of play left. But, you know, again, a victory is a victory. It'd be a massive moral victory for them as they look to be heading into challenge battles now. Really, that's what it's all about. Shoring up some of their mistakes, working on improving the style, so when they go to challenge battles, they're prepared to take on these challenger teams. And
hey, one of these teams, not both of them, but one of them technically can still acquire enough points to get out of the challenge.
I mean, let's be honest. That it's just the odds are very, very low for that to happen. So I wouldn't hold my breath. I know GankStars not. They have made it very clear that their focus is to just stay in the Vainglory 8, and honestly, they're in great shape to do that as we get ready for next season. But you know what? A win in the series would be huge here, Denominate, because, you know, Tempo Storm, they've been struggling as well, but if GankStars can get a strong series win against Tempo, they'll definitely start to, you know, first of all, give themselves the confidence they need to, you know, continue playing at a higher and higher level.
Absolutely, and you know, obviously GankStars definitely a renowned team. It's a homegrown organization here in Vainglory. They've been around for a long time. I think pretty much all the viewers would like to see them in the Vainglory 8 going into 2018 as well. Tempo Storm, obviously, pretty big organization. They're looking to keep their name here up at the top as well, but it's going to be difficult with some of these challenger teams coming up. I mean, Vision has looked really good. Obviously, Team Hazard as well. Echo Fox got to be dying for their spot back. So there's a lot of really close competition in North America right now, and GankStars is showing us right now that they want to stay.
They are. Look at the aggression. Hyde has to use the Bangarang, but Xenotech's still alive. They are going back and forth. This fight is lasting forever, and it is going to be Gatsby that drops first. The sustain from Lulu, it's unbelievable, including Xenotech. So close to going down, but does not. And now Lulu's going to chase Afro all the way in. There's nothing Afro can do here. Lulu dropping very low, but he's able to survive. This is just unbelievable. You're just so hard to take down Lulu. I don't think they're going to get another kill onto Lulu for the rest of the game. And GankStars, now with this Kraken being started up, they are looking to close out this game.
Yeah, definitely looking to do so. We'll have to see if they're able to pull things together.
Absolutely. We are now approaching the 15-minute mark. Kraken has been unleashed, Dominic. This is tough, man. I mean, Tempo Storm, they have the raw damage output, but what GankStars has been able to do is balance that. They don't overcommit. You know, Xenotech goes in, takes a lot of damage, he backs away. Then, you know, you talk about going in, and then it's another, you know, fight. Blackfeather just heals right back up thanks to that Serpent's Mask. Just unbelievable how much sustain and positioning GankStars has been able to do here in this matchup. That was a long team fight too, Denominate. And, you know, again, GankStars winning these long fights, not a good sign for the life of Tempo.
Yeah, not a good sign as they are up 9-1 right now, pushing in the choke point turret. Lulu's a bit behind though, so he's going to have to catch up. Here comes the acro bounce.
That was actually a lot of damage on the Baghdaddy. Baghdaddy's honestly been the recipient of a lot of damage here, but that's alright. That's what he's there for. Not too worried. Now they're just looking to try to stop this Kraken. This is GankStars with the chance to take out one of these crystal turrets, maybe even push for the win. We'll see how Tempo can respond. They are doing everything they possibly can, trying to find a victory here, trying to, like, stop the bleeding, but it's not enough. There goes the first crystal turret, and look at this. GankStars, they have plenty of health. Lulu is very low. He might finally fall. He does finally die. So I'm going to have to eat my words there, but it's still Xenotech and Mac Daddy here just keeping pressure on the side of Tempo.
Yeah, they have been, and they're buying time for the Kraken to do her thing. They are going to be able to stop it, I would think, at least. Yeah. Oh, Mac Daddy might be coming back in here.
Just looking for a few shots. There's not much that a Catherine could do attack-wise. She doesn't have a Storm Crown here, but she is helping. Oh, wait, but Xenotech thinking about coming back in. This is so dangerous, but is he going to get it? Oh, my goodness. GankStars, they've got the victory.
Even if Xenotech would have died there, he drew the attention of Hyde off of the Kraken, and that was such a close finish. It looked like Xenotech might have dipped into the jungle, picked up that Treant just for that little additional regeneration, and then came back in. Great performance out of GankStars here. Now, Tempo Storm are still in this. They still can come back. This is a best-of-3 series, but GankStars take the first game, and that puts them up a point in this series.
Oh, another point on the board. GankStars are trying to end the season on a high note. Here as they look to find a victory. Tempo Storm looked good there early, Delamine. The Ozo, was doing a lot of damage, but just unfortunately, Gatsby got a little bit behind. You see, at 17 minutes, wasn't able to get to that fourth